Hey, hey, hey. Time for an out-of-this-world story from rSpace. Do you believe in life after love? Maybe that comes in the form of divorce. Or maybe that means you'll be marrying your ex's sister. Today on rSpace, true love has never looked so twisted. Up first, an act of kindness turns into till death do us part. My 28 male ex-girlfriend, 27 female's sister, 22 female, is still living with me over a year after the breakup. I was with my ex-girlfriend, let's call her Sarah, from secondary school. We'd been together for 10 years and were working hard to save up and get married. We were working in different cities about 70 miles apart, but I would get the train every weekend to be with her. Anyway, when her sister, let's call her Katie, applied to university in my city, she lived in halls for the first year, but couldn't really afford a place to live in a decent location. So I said that she could come and live with me rent-free. It wasn't weird at all. I'd known her since she was 9. It made everything more manageable for her family. Everything was okay for about a year. Even nice. She was tidy, pretty much kept to herself, had a few friends over but didn't party or bring boyfriends home while I was there. I assume she did at weekends when I was away. Just over a year and a half ago, Sarah told me she had been cheating on me in a massive way. She had been in a relationship with another guy for about 3 months and had been living in his house, only coming back to the flat at weekends when I was coming down to visit. She decided that she wanted to live with him openly and was tired of lying to me. She admitted that most weekends she would find time to go back and have sex with him if there was an opportunity to. It was a horrible shock and I felt completely numb for weeks. Katie was busy with university and was unbelievably nice about the whole thing. She stayed out of my way and got on with her studies. Didn't bring her friends or boyfriends home. She finished her degree. I assumed that she would move on and move out, but she got a job at the university admin department and is still living here. It's not awkward for me in terms of living with her, but it's really difficult to explain to friends, and it's still a little painful because she looks a lot like Sarah. I don't feel comfortable saying to women that I live with my cheating ex-girlfriend's little sister, but I can't exactly tell her to find somewhere else because none of this is really her fault. What should I do? Honestly, OP, if she's not being awkward about it and you're cool with it, don't do anything. Like you said, it's not her fault. She probably didn't even know, and she's just trying to make her way in the world. Update. Am I the a-hole for dating my ex-girlfriend's younger sister? I posted the full backstory a couple weeks ago on a different subreddit, but I'll precis it here for you. I'd, 28 male, been with Sarah, 27 female, not her real name, since we were teenagers, and we were living in different cities, trying to save up enough for a house together. Her sister Katie, 22 female, again not her real name, applied to university in my city, and after a year in the halls, moved in with me for economy's sake. We'd known each other forever, it was fine, solved problems all around. Just over a year and a half ago, Sarah told me that she had been cheating on me in a massive way. She had been in a relationship with another guy for about 3 months and had been living in his house, only coming back to the flat at weekends when I was coming down to visit. She decided that she wanted to live with him openly and was tired of lying to me. She admitted that most weekends she would find time to go back and have sex with him if there was an opportunity to, once I had fallen asleep. It was a horrible shock and I felt completely numb for weeks. After 18 months, Katie was still living with me, non-romantically. I wasn't sure what to do about this, and when I posted on relationships, I was just coming around to the realization that I liked having her around and didn't want her to leave. Since I posted, we spent more time together socially, and on Monday, I asked if she'd like to go to dinner as a kind of date. We had a really nice time. We kissed once, but we didn't go further. We both realize this is a complex situation and want to take things slowly. I can't help feeling that I'm irretrievably an a-hole though. Am I? Edit. Thank you all for the comments. Whether you a-holed me or not. Is that the correct verb? We have had a long talk. First just between us and then with her dad and aunt. Her mom died 6 years ago. They have been very supportive since Sarah and I broke up, and we wanted to involve them before going any further. We're going to take things very slowly, and her dad is going to pay half rent. He offered to pay to help her move out, as some people had suggested, but for financial reasons, that would be difficult for him and impossible for her to manage financially. We haven't decided about telling Sarah. I haven't spoken to her since it happened, and Katie has only spoken to her in occasional messages. We have talked about everything that has been raised on here at some length. It is a difficult situation and there is a power dynamic that we have done what we can to mitigate. Ultimately, we do have feelings for each other and have for some time. I would absolutely never have dated her for revenge or for any other reason, and I would never do anything to hurt or upset her. I understand if you still think I'm an a-hole, but I'm trying my best. Verdict, not the a-hole. Update. I have had 2 requests for updates, and I'm not sure if there's a threshold, but I thought I'd share anyway in case anyone was curious, and to say thank you for the advice. It did shape the way we went about it getting together, who we told and when, etc. Our families have been incredibly supportive and we are really happy together. It has been about a month, but it feels so perfectly right. We have had endless conversations about our feelings and our plans. We have started to redecorate the house, and we are planning to go on holiday together in the summer. It feels so much more wonderful than I had ever imagined it would be. I don't know what else to add, but if you ever find yourself in a difficult situation, talking it through is so important. Everybody feels safer and better about everything when you communicate. All the best. Whoa. So now you say you have feelings for Sarah's sister and you have for quite some time while you've been dating Sarah? Is that why you wanted her to leave originally? To sort of stop yourself from giving in to desire? Or do you just like her because you still have a thing for Sarah and she reminds you of Sarah? Update. 4 years later. We're now engaged and we're starting to plan the wedding for early next year. The relationship between my fiancée and her sister, my ex, is better than it was. They exchange messages at birthdays and Christmas, but don't meet up, exchange presents. She is still single and now lives abroad, and she found out about the engagement a couple of months ago. At Christmas, she mentioned needing to know the date early to book the cheapest flights home, and my fiancé was too shocked to reply. She doesn't want her sister there. I'm too excited about getting married to care too much one way or the other. I'd prefer her not to be there, but I'd roll with it if necessary. My fiancé doesn't want her there, but all her family assume it will be fine for the day because it's a family wedding, and it should all be water under the bridge. I can't stress enough how little I care about the sister being there or not. I just want everyone else to be as happy at the wedding as I'll be, impossible, or as close to that as I can manage. Got a quick relative comment. Gosh, if only 149 people had warned you this would happen 4 years ago. I'd let your fiancé handle this. Her sister, her family, her objection. Stay the hell out of it and support whatever her fiancé chooses. The OP replies, thanks. This is what I'm planning on doing. And if asked, I'll just support her choice. Let's think about this. It's unlikely Sarah will show up anyways. She just wants to raise a stink. And I feel like the drama you'd have in not inviting her to the wedding would be far worse than her actually being there. You both are going to be so busy on the day of the wedding that you won't even notice her there. That's if she even shows up. What do you make of all this? Do you think OP is crazy for marrying his ex's sister? Why or why not? Next up, how far do you take in sickness and in health? I'm divorcing my wife because she can't get over her mom dying. Original post, November 27th, 2023. Yeah, I know everyone is fired up at the title and ready to tell me what an a-hole I am. To those people, I implore you to read the rest of this post before making a judgment. My 36 male, wife's 33 female, mother passed away 5 years ago from lung cancer. It was not a peaceful or easy death. Our lives understandably went on pause after the diagnosis, and we both spent a lot of time off work helping care for her mother. My wife had a pretty typical showing of grief at the time, cycling through different stages, same with our 3 kids. After she passed, however, my wife got really bad. I totally understand this. I can't say I know exactly what she went through because I haven't had a parent die, but I understand how devastated she was. For months after she could barely function, I gently took over pretty much all the responsibilities in the household and with the kids. She had been attending grief counseling since the diagnosis and continued after death. None of this is the problem. I endeavored to be as supportive as possible. She cried on my shoulder every night for months, and I just thought this was the worst of for better or worse. The problem is that after 5 years, she does not seem any better or more functional. She stopped grief counseling about 4 years ago and refused to go again, stating it would not help her and that nothing could. About a month before any major holiday, she will have a major downturn. In bed half the day, crying all day, does not want to interact with the family, does not have the energy to do anything around the house. This will go on every single day until about a week after the holiday ends. Every holiday is intense grief, just as much now as it was 5 years ago. October, November, December, and January, her mom's birthday month, every year are particularly bad. I'm essentially without my wife and am a single parent to my 3 kids. Altogether, she is completely incapacitated by grief for about 6 months out of the year, and has been for past 5 years. When I say incapacitated, I mean incapacitated. When she is in the depths of her grief, she is completely incapable of intimacy with me or the kids. There's no cuddling, spending time with us, going on family outings. I don't have sex for half the year. I've stopped asking her if she wants to talk about it because she can't get any words out between sobs if she tries. What hurts the most is that the kids have stopped asking or being concerned. If they see their mom in bed when they get home, they just go about their day and might casually mention, "Oh, mom is sad today." if they're siblings or I ask where she is. They don't really seek affection with her anymore because they rarely get anything more than tears. I've discussed this with therapists, my parents, friends, etc., and I know all the rebuttals people have for this, so let me preempt them. She is unwilling to go back to a therapy for grief counseling or to see a doctor for depression. Yes, I know she's severely depressed. I can't force her to go to the doctor. I've tried so much. Yes, it really is just as intense as it was 5 years ago. No, I never tell her to get over it or blow her off. On my worst days, I just give space and leave her be. Most days, I try to offer her some comfort. If you want to judge me for leaving her alone, whatever, but know that I feel like I essentially have caretaker fatigue at this point. No, she does not have a history of depression, but she does have ADHD. Don't know if that's relevant. I feel like my wife died when her mom died. I would do anything to get her back, even a small piece of her, but she doesn't seem willing or able to move on past her mom's death. I feel awful for considering a divorce, but I don't know what else to do. Someone from the community has an opinion. I slathered myself in peanut butter and hugged him like a python. What kind of advice is that? Anyway, moving on. Holy crap. I remember reading OP's first post. I was so heartbroken for him. The way he wrote his post, he seemed like a genuinely concerned husband who was at the end of his very, very long rope. But hot dang, did I not see this going the way it did? OP is going to need a lot of support and a good therapist to get through all of the emotions this is going to bring on. On one hand, he's going to feel that sweet, sweet relief that he no longer has to tiptoe around his wife for months at a time, multiple times a year, and shield his children from her, as he has been there for the past 5 years. He's got a struggle ahead of him for sure, but hopefully he finds peace with time spent apart from her. Once the negative emotions fade, I hope he starts to feel free and realizes he can finally live his life the way he wants to, instead of being a prisoner of her grief. That grief is no longer his problem. It's tough because the toll of your wife's prolonged grief isn't just affecting her, it's also impacting you and your children. It's concerning that your children have become accustomed to their mother's emotional state and have adapted by not seeking affection from her. This highlights the need for intervention and support for the entire family. Despite your best efforts, it's apparent that your wife's grief has become more chronic and debilitating. While you have attempted to encourage her to seek professional help, her refusal to do so leaves you feeling stuck and unsure of what steps to take. It's important to explore all available options, including individual therapy for yourself, to navigate this challenging situation. Grief is a hard path to navigate, as it's non-linear. First update post, November 29th, 2023. I posted a few days ago. You can check my profile for that post. I kind of just threw that post together as a stream of consciousness vent on my break at work. I didn't go back and look at it until later because I just assumed it would get buried since I've never had anything I posted get any major attention. And honestly, I thought I was going to get eviscerated in the comments for being intensive and uncaring. I was floored by the number of responses and really kind DMs I got and felt a little overwhelmed at the idea of responding to them all, so I figured I would post an update here. A few people mentioned I should have her involuntarily admitted to a medical facility. I didn't mention in the original post, but I did ask our family doctor about that maybe a year ago, and he told me that unless she is a threat to herself or others, it's unlikely to happen. I looked this up myself as well, and that appears to be true for the state we live in. I do agree that she needs medical treatment. I suspect that during her year of grief counseling after her mom's death, that she was not honest with her counselor. I have a distinctly sad memory of her coming home after one of her last sessions and telling me that her counselor said she probably wouldn't need to go much longer. Then she went and laid down on the bed and cried. I haven't been able to convince her to go back to counseling. However, I'm glad I posted to Reddit, because somehow I hadn't really considered that she might need more intensive treatment than just counseling. I also saw one comment that scared the hell out of me, that she may do something drastic if I give her a divorce ultimatum. With those things in mind, I don't think doing that is the way to go. Instead, I'm planning to write her a letter explaining her how we need her back, and that we love her and care for her deeply, but she needs more help than we can provide alone, and tell her that she needs to go to the doctor and be honest about what she's been going through. Thank you for your advice, everyone. Your intention to write her a letter expressing your love, concern, and the need for her to seek medical help is a compassionate approach. It's evident that you care deeply for her well-being and are willing to take proactive steps to support her in getting the assistance she requires. Navigating a situation like this can be incredibly challenging, and it's essential to prioritize open communication, empathy, and support. Encouraging your wife to be honest with her healthcare providers about her experiences and struggles can help facilitate a more effective treatment plan tailored to her needs. Remember to take care of yourself during this process and lean on your support network for guidance and assistance. You're not alone, and there are resources available to help you and your wife through this difficult time. Second update post, December 6th, 2023, 6 days later. I wasn't planning to post again, but got a lot of supportive messages asking for an update, so here we go. My soon-to-be ex-wife has completely lost her effing mind. After my last post, I spent a couple of days writing the letter to her. In it, I explained that the kids and I love her dearly. They were concerned for her. I outlined all the worrying behavior and told her that I believe she needs to seek additional medical care. I explained that it sounded like she had complex grief. Thank you everyone who pointed that out. And that the grief therapy she went 2 years ago was insufficient to help her get through it. I did not say anything about potentially divorcing her, but did say that the kids can't continue to live in their current situation. It was a long letter, and I don't really feel like transcribing it here. I read the letter to her the same night I finished writing it after the kids had gone to bed. After I finished reading, she just stared right through me, 1,000-yard stare, for probably 15 minutes, then finally stood up and started walking to the door. I panicked and tried to stop her, asking where she was going. Can we talk about this? I'm concerned for your safety. She rolled her eyes at me and said in the coldest voice I've ever heard her use, I hope when your parents die, someone doesn't tell you to get over it. After that, I didn't try to stop her. I just let her go. I was pissed off for maybe 5 minutes before the panic set back in. I legitimately thought she was going to end herself. I checked my phone and she had turned her location off. I called and texted probably 50 times over the next hour, begging her to at least let me know she was okay and that she wasn't going to do something drastic. Right before I was about to call the police, I got a call from her phone. I answered immediately, and before I could get much of anything in, a man's voice told me, she's fine, but she doesn't want to talk to you, and hung up. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience at the time. I had no idea what the F was going on. I almost called the cops anyway, but I was disassociating hard and talked myself out of it. I kept calling her phone all night, but no one picked up again. After about 2 a.m., it started going straight to voicemail. I barely slept that night. When I woke up the next day, she wasn't home. I took the kids to school, daycare. I normally do this, and my wife is normally still asleep while I do, so thank God they didn't ask where mom was. I tried calling my wife's phone more all morning, but still voicemail. I called her office and asked if she was at work, and they told me she had called in sick. I called in sick to work as well and basically just sat on my couch trying to get a hold of her while being a nervous wreck. I called my mom as well and asked her if she could pick the kids up from school today and watch them overnight. I didn't tell her everything that was going on yet, just that something had come up that was urgent. I needed some help. My wife walked in the door sometime after 4 p.m. I tried to hug her and she shied away from me. I asked her where she had been. No response, just a blank stare. I asked her who called me from her phone. No response, blank stare. At this point I was frustrated and told her that she didn't want to explain what was going on. She could get the F out. I regret saying it that way now, but holy crap was I frustrated. So she started talking, but it was like I was talking to a text-to-speech AI with her voice. No emotion, totally flat, almost annoyed. She told me that she had gone to her friend John's, fake name, house. I had no idea who the F John was and asked her to explain further. Over a 2-hour or so conversation where I had to pry details out of her, I got most of the story. She was answering like a lawyer, very basic answers, no details or context outside of exactly what I was asking her. Basically, John is a coworker. I've met the dude once or twice at office party type events, but never really talked to him. I never saw him hanging out with my wife or showing interest in her, but apparently over the last year or so, she has been spilling all of her feelings about her grief over her mom's death to him, and he's been comforting her. He had a parent die from cancer too, so I guess she felt they had a connection she didn't have with me. After I read her the letter, she says she realized that I don't care about her or her mom's death, and went to John's house to talk or be comforted. I flat out asked her if she was having an affair with him, and she told me no. I asked her why she never mentioned she was close friends with this unknown guy, and she told me it was none of my business. I asked her if anything had happened between them while she was there, and she says they cuddled, and he held her while she cried. I asked to see her phone to check messages between them, and she refused. I couldn't get much more detail out of her about the whole situation. So when she went to take a shower, I tried to check her phone. She had changed her passcode. I grabbed her iPad, which still had my thumbprint biometric signature in it, and checked there. I left the house with the iPad to look for evidence while she was in the shower. I did not immediately see any messages to or from a John, but after digging briefly, I found it. She had put him in as Stacy in her contacts, but it was obviously him. There were texts going back well over a year. A lot of her talking about her mom, a lot of him comforting her, a lot of him telling her I don't really care about her, and that he would never treat her that way if they were married. All of her replies were in agreement. A lot of texts from her complaining about me, a lot of him trash-talking me. The night she left, she had texted him, F it, I'm on my way over if the offer is still there, followed by an immediate yes reply. The next morning, a text from him to her saying, if he asks, we just talked. I threw up out my car door in a Walmart parking lot for 20 minutes. I came home and found her on the couch on her phone, seemingly unconcerned or unaware I had even left. I told her that I knew and that she needed to leave. Again, she just stared at me for a while, not responding, until I got aggravated and told her to get the F out of my house. She immediately got up, told me, "John was right about you," and left. I haven't seen her since. I told the kids she went to visit her parents. I don't know what to tell them, but I have to tell them something soon. I don't really even know what to do. Ostensibly, I need to divorce her, but going through custody, child support, etc. is dizzying. I feel paralyzed and haven't made a move yet. I know she's lost her mind, and this is probably some kind of psychotic break, but I just can't care anymore. I put on a brave, numb face to go to work, then for my kids at night, and then cry after they go to bed until I fall asleep. I feel like my life is essentially over. I don't feel like John took advantage of her vulnerability, but I don't even want to bother trying to get her to see that he's a predator. She chose this over her effing family that has stuck with her. I don't think I'll be posting any more updates or logging into this account anymore. Honestly, after all of that, it's worth seriously considering a divorce. You supported her through it all. You gave her the space and time she needed to heal, and she betrays you like that. Time to move on. Don't waste any more energy on this woman. If she needs a hand to hold, she can go back to that coworker of hers. Take care of yourself and know that brighter days are ahead, even if they may seem out of reach right now. What do you make of all of this? Would you have stayed? Thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.